everyone, welcome back to the channel. It's already time again for another weekly reading update, and this week I actually managed to get quite a bit of reading done, which is a nice change compared to the slower weeks I've had lately. And since it's October, I wanted to read something fitting for the season, and Lovecraft just felt right. I've always been curious about his work, not necessarily because I love horror, but because of how influential he's been in shaping the entire genre. You see references to Lovecraft everywhere, from books and movies to video games. Now last week I read a few of his better known short stories, The Call of Cthulhu, At the Mountains of Madness, and The Color Out of Space. And these stories are all over a century old now, and that age really shows in the writing. It's very old-fashioned, very descriptive, and sometimes even a bit exhausting to get through, to be honest. Lovecraft's prose can feel dense and academic, and almost like you're reading an old scientific report rather than a story. But when it works, it really works. His story have this slow burn sense of dread. There's no jump scare, no gore, just an overwhelming sense that humanity is small and insignificant in a vast, uncaring universe. And out of the ones I read, The Color Out of Space easily stood out the most to me. It's about a meteorite that crashes near a small farm, and over time it starts to affect everything around it. The crops, the animals, and even the people. And the pacing in this story is surprisingly tight for a Lovecraft story, and the atmosphere is just perfect. It's unsettling, and not because of what you see, but because of what you don't. I didn't find any of the stories truly scary, but that's kind of the point, I think. They're more about existential horror than direct fear. The idea that the universe doesn't care about you, and that knowledge itself might drive you insane. And that's what makes them stick in your head long after reading. And if you never tried Lovecraft before and want a starting point, The Color Out of Space is definitely my recommendation. It's one of his more readable works, and it captures the essence of his cosmic horror without getting lost in endless exposition. So yeah, Lovecraft isn't for everyone. The writing can be a bit slow and heavy, but I'm glad I finally took the time to explore his stories, and it feels like reading a piece of horror history. And so after all that dense, eerie atmosphere, I wanted something faster paced and something I could just sit down with and really get into without needing a dictionary on standby. And that's where Ender's Game came in. Ender's Game by Orson Scott Card is one of those books I've heard about for years. It's one of those big names in classic sci-fi, and so I finally decided it was time to see what it was all about. And I have to say, I have mixed feelings. I read it quickly. I finished it in a few days, which is usually a good sign, but when I look back, I'm not sure if I loved it. Let's start with what it's about. The story follows Ender Wigging, a young boy chosen to train in a military program where gifted children are molded into future commanders. And humanity is preparing for another war against an alien species known as the Buggers. And this training takes place in a massive space station where the children go through these intense zero gravity battle simulations that basically test their strategy and leadership skills. And it's a really clever setup, and I'll admit those training scenes were, I think, the highlight for me. They're fast, creative and full of tension, and you really get a sense of Anders' intelligence and determination. However, what surprised me was how bare bones the world and characters felt. There's almost no description of what anything looks like, the people, the places, and even the technology. And everything feels stripped down to pure function, like you're watching a chess game rather than living in a world. And I think that's where the book lost me a little. I'm someone who enjoys a strong sense of place and character, and here it felt often like those things were missing. That said, the story itself does build to a really strong ending. The last few chapters completely shift the tone, and it's where the book finally clicked for me. Without spoiling anything, the reveal at the end changes everything about what came before. It gives the story a surprising emotional weight, and it left me thinking about it afterward. I also really liked how the aliens were handled. They remain mysterious and alien throughout, and yet by the end you almost feel sympathy for them, and that balance of fear and understanding is something Card did really well. Yeah, so overall Ender's Game didn't completely win me over. I thought it was a bit cold and distant, but I still respected what it achieved. It's tightly written and thematically strong, and very different from most sci-fi I've read recently. And even though I didn't love it, it did enough to make me curious about the sequel, Speaker for the Dead, which I'll probably pick up sometime soon. And so after finishing Ender's Game, I decided to go in a completely different direction again. Away from the coldness of space and back into the warmth of Middle Earth. That's right, my next read is The Fellowship of the Ring by J.R.R. Tolkien, which is the first book in the Lord of the Rings trilogy. This will actually be a reread for me. I first read it about 20 years ago in this Dutch version, and I've been meaning to revisit it for a while now. And I saw a video by Randy Ray, a fellow booktuber, and he is organizing a read-along of the entire trilogy over November, December and January next year. And I've been following his channel for a while now, and I always really enjoy his videos, so it felt like a perfect excuse to finally dive back in. This read-along is open for everyone, so if you ever thought about starting Lord of the Rings or returning to it, this could be a great opportunity. And I know some of you in the comments have expressed interest into starting into the fantasy genre, and so I think this is a fun opportunity, and I'll leave a link to Randy's announcement video in the description below. It has all the details you'll need if you want to join as well. And what I'm really excited about this time is reading it in English. When I first read it, I think I was too young to fully appreciate Tolkien's language and world building. And now that I've read more fantasy, like Feist and Sanderson, I feel like I'll notice more in Tolkien's writing, I hope. And there's something timeless about The Lord of the Rings. Every time I think about it, I'm reminded of how much of modern fantasy can trace back its roots to these books. The characters, the world, the sense of history, it kind of all started here. And honestly, the idea of reading this during the colder months feels perfect. It's the kind of story that pairs well with long evenings, a warm drink, and a slow pace that only Tolkien can deliver. So yeah, this will be my main read through November, and I'm just really looking forward to it. And alongside the Fellowship of the Ring, I'm also planning to start Endurance, the third book in the Legend of the Galactic Heroes series by Yoshiki Tanaka. I reviewed the second book, Ambition, earlier this week on the channel, and it's a book I really enjoyed. The story expanded on the political struggles within both the Empire and the Free Planets Alliance, and I'm hoping that Endurance will bring those two forces back into direct conflict with each other. There are 10 books in total in the series, so the story is still in the early stages, but the scope and balance between politics, characters and philosophy makes it one of the most intriguing series I've read in a while. And if it keeps up this quality, I can easily see it becoming one of my favorite series. So that's it for this week's update. Quite a range from cosmic horror to military sci-fi and classic fantasy. And like always, I'd love to hear what you've been reading lately, and or if any of you are joining the Lord of the Rings read along, let me know in the comments. As always, thanks for watching, and until next time.